Hi and welcome back. My name is Faye and I'm a UK-based wedding photographer shooting weddings all over the world. And today I am bringing to you a really lovely conversation that I had as part of my course Align with the incredible Sierra K Photography. Sierra is a world-renowned photographer. She is American-Canadian, like gorgeous blend, has a gorgeous Spanish husband, lives in Spain and now has this like niche, incredible market working across Europe and America. She is just so talented. She is so generous with her knowledge, with her experience, and the course guests got so much from speaking to her. The course format is basically, we have 3 core modules, and every module I invite a special guest that's like an expert in that field. Module 2 is all about curation, and honestly, there are a few people that do it better, like across Instagram than Sierra. She just has this way of just making you feel something instantly throughout her photos. She's so good, and I know that she's really, really personable and really generous with her knowledge, so I knew that she would be the perfect person to speak to my course guests about curation. So dive in. This is just some highlights from the chat. We had an extensive Q&A, but that is private for the course guests. As part of the course, when we do have these interviews, you get to speak to these people, you get to ask them what's on your mind. Like, that's the great thing about having them, like that one-on-one, like getting into the inside of the brains of people that you really admire. It's like such an important bit of the course. So without further ado, let's dive into some highlights from this really special chat. And if you enjoyed this, you can join the mailing list below and hear about when Align comes back in the new year. Enjoy. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm so honored and I'm a yapper, so I'm excited to just chat with everyone. And yeah.
I'm really excited about this. So me and Sierra met at a wedding. I think I shared this on Instagram a few weeks ago, but just in case you didn't see it, she put out a call for a second tutor like literally the day after. And I spent loads of my own money. Obviously, it was paid, but it wasn't enough to like fly to Spain and do it. But I was so desperate to meet her that I cancelled all my plans, got childcare, had to drive like 6 hours to drop off my son, moved heaven and earth. I was like, I'm not wasting this opportunity to work with this girl. She's that fucking good. And the wedding was incredible. It was at a venue that I got to work at again for the first time last week on my own, in the dodgiest place ever, like the nicest venue ever, but in the middle of bloody nowhere. And yeah, like, I just think you're incredible. They're going to get so much from talking to you. Let's crack it. Don't cry.
I know I haven't so I'm pretty pregnant, and so I'm sorry in advance for pregnancy brain, and I know I'm gonna be out of breath. I'm already out of breath. We just started.
Okay.
I
They're probably
barely
so
said
excited to
hello.
rot because I've just been talking at them for like an hour. So they're all probably excited to cabbage out and
Yeah. So
laugh.
not too many compliments, I will cry. But thank
So
you.
I'll try, I'll be horrible too. Okay, so Sierra, I've just done a little bit of an intro, but I'm going to let you introduce yourself. Tell us about who you are, what you do.
Amazing. Well, I'm Sierra. I'm a business owner. I'm a wedding photographer, mostly weddings, but I dabble in elopements and all things couples is really, I don't do almost anything outside of couples. So that's kind of what I focus on. I do a lot from elopements to backyard weddings, intimate stuff, celebrities. I feel like I have done it all. But my main focus, I do have common ground with the types of couples that book me. Whereas I don't have like oh, I mostly do big weddings or small weddings or anything, but all of my couples are exactly the same. They have the same demeanor and they're booking me for the same thing. I'm from the US, accent.
Can't tell with that accent.
I'm Canadian American and my husband is Spanish. So that's what brought me over to Spain 8 years ago. And so I kind of have a little bit of a US market, but mostly I try to stay in Europe and around Spain. And every year I travel less because it sounds fun at first and then it's exhausting after a year or
Yeah.
two. So that's kind of where I'm at now, is mostly Spain with the one or two a season around Europe. So I still get a little bit of travel in. Yeah.
But you plan, I mean, you do weddings, you go home to see family and you try to tell weddings on when you go home, don't you? So you can still do those American ones, they're just less frequent.
Yes. Yeah, I don't do random trips anymore to the US, whereas I used to. I used to just, I mean, that's where the money is in my mind. They're willing to pay double what I can charge in Spain. So I used to go for the money, and now I'm like, it's not even worth it for triple. I can't. So now I kind of just focus my time there around holidays. So I always go for Christmas. And luckily, my mom lives in Florida during the winter. And luckily, that is wedding season. So I go for Christmas and I end up staying either most of December or most of January, just depending on where my bookings land for that season.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I love that. It's good as well because we've just been talking about like family planning and how it might affect work and destination and where you work and all of that stuff. So I'm sure you're going to get a few questions about that when we get on to
perfect. Well, this is my first pregnancy, so I'm in the early stages of
clarify.
figuring out the family planning part, but yeah, I'm not worried about it. But maybe I should be, but
No,
I'm
no, no. I feel
casual.
like you've got such a can-do attitude that you'll just make anything work. So
Work out.
it'll be good. So this module, we're in the middle of the course. Just gone over halfway. We started off talking about like finding your why, finding your place in the market, what you want your brand to be about. And then the last 2 weeks has been a real slog. Like we've been archiving anything that doesn't feel aligned. We've been curating our grids more. You curate really well, which is why I wanted you for this module. There was literally no one else. I was like, it has to be Sierra. Your posts are just curated so well. Like, how do you do it? What does it mean to you to curate?
Yeah, I'm sure we'll focus a lot on Instagram and portfolio specifically, but I think it's important to realize that curation is literally everything you're deciding to put on the internet, from your captions to your Instagram bio to your profile picture to the words on your website. Everything you put is curation. And so I think it's super important to just showcase what you're best at, what you're good at. But there's just so much intention that we should be putting behind curation. When I started 8 years and years ago, a long time ago, there wasn't a lot of education on curation. People were just saying, if they said anything, show what you want to shoot. And that was kind of all there was to curation. And now I think there's so much more to it, and it ties into brand identity and establishing trust with your clients. I mean, it's the initial first impression. So, yeah, there's a lot to it.
Yeah, and it is layered. And like even today, I mean, we've just been doing it for 2 weeks. We've been having chats in the group chat, like constantly coming up with new things. And then today I was like, well, we've not even spoken about inclusivity yet. We've not spoken about this yet. And every single post that you put out there, it's showing off a little bit more about who you are. So talk to us about your brand. How did you figure out what you wanted Sierra K to be about?
Yeah, well, brand identity is so important. And I think the more we think about it, the better we can do for our business. Because if you don't decide what your brand identity is, other people are deciding for you. And even if you do decide what your brand identity is, people are still deciding for you, because that's what's happening with curation. You're hopefully putting out these feelers to what your brand identity is, and hopefully you're using your brand pillars in specific wording on your website. Like, hopefully, the goal is that your brand identity is known without you having to talk to someone, because there's a lot of steps before a client actually talks to you. So, how can we show off our brand identity before we get on that call? Curation. So, it's super important, but it's also not necessarily a bad thing when people decide for you. You can actually figure out what your brand identity is by listening to how people talk about you and your business and your art. And I don't know about you guys, but when I get on a call with a client, one of the first things that we talk about, whether they say it unprompted or I prompt them, which I do prompt them if they don't start with this, but 80% of the time, they're starting the conversation saying, we just had to chat with you because blah, 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 blah. And I started to notice a pattern a few years ago. I really started to pick up on this, because people will compliment your work from the day you start, and you just take it as a compliment. But eventually you realize, actually, these are patterns that tie into what my brand identity should be or could be. And if it's not what it what it should be or could be, then right, that's a great clue that you do have some work to do on your curation. But that's what happened to me, because I did start about 10 years ago. And so I slowly realized these patterns. And then I started tying that. I started actually focusing on what my brand identity is once I started to notice the patterns. So I truly did let other people tell me what my brand
I love
identity
that because you're
is.
responding to the audience. It's like what all good big companies do. They have people that track analytics, like Diary of a CEO. They've literally got teams to look at what people are responding to, what keywords they respond to, and then they do more of that. So it's really clever. So you mentioned pillars of content, which is fucking great because we were literally talking about that before you came on the call. So what are the elements of your brand identity, pillars of content, all that jazz?
Yeah, my my brand values really come down to actually me, who I am as a person, and what I value in real moments and how I actually see a wedding day. I mean, I could talk about like engagement sessions and stuff like that too, especially since that's where I started was with smaller sessions. And I realized even though photography wasn't like the forefront of my business, like it was just this fun side hustle for me. I was the friend with the camera. But I realized that I liked shooting couples and really became passionate about the job because I figured out that I could curate these moments with couples where like they're not naturally having movie moments every time they go out on a date, but I can give them this. I can give them a movie moment. I can make them have a piggyback ride. Not that I do that anymore, but 10 years ago, piggyback rides are all the thing, all the rage. So just realizing that that's how I even see a session is that it truly is about the moment and how I can help these couples kind of like walk away like they just had the best date of their life. And now moving that energy into mostly weddings. I don't do a ton of engagement sessions anymore. Honestly, maybe like 10 a year. But now that I'm more focused on weddings, how I see a wedding is all about the moments. For me, it's not even about a good photos. I mean, it's about good photos. That's why they pay me the big bucks, I guess I could say, because I do care about delivering something that's very high quality, a service that's very high quality, but at the value, like value-wise for my brand, it is all about how I feel about a wedding, which is you should not have to worry about good photos.
Yeah.
All the trust should be on me. I've got you no matter what the day looks like. There's gonna be good photos. Let's book the person you need so that you're feeling the way you want to feel on a wedding day.
I love
And
that.
not that there's anything wrong with photographers who do things differently, because lots of couples want the magazine moment. They want the magazine photo. They want you to make them look flawless. They want the photographer to almost run the day for them to help things like move. And where I am a little bit more fly on the wall and I do a lot more work before the wedding to help guide couples on how to have a more authentic day because really they're coming to me because they want the authentic experience because that's part of what people see with my brand identity. Sorry, bad breath.
No, no, you're fine. It's just so interesting. We're so similar, our energy levels, the way that we shoot. And I think both of us have probably felt quite misunderstood at times that we do get couples to pose more than we actually do. Whereas actually on the day when I shot the wedding with you, you instigate very little. Like, but your work looks so perfect that people assume it. And I get the same. People tell me that I pose and I'm really editorial, and I'm like, but I'm not. But again, it's like if you don't communicate that via your captions, it's very easy to become misunderstood, right? So
Yeah.
you mentioned then about how you do less sessions a year for engagement sessions and you are doing more weddings. So how do you curate your portfolio to show off the percentages that you want to do?
Yeah, it really is like number to number. Like if I want 10% of my clients to be engagement sessions, I'm probably showing 10% of my portfolio to be engagement sessions. It's funny because last year I really made an effort not to show a lot of sessions on Instagram and in my portfolio. And this year I've done 2 sessions since September. I take July and August off. So my season is September through December, which is mostly September and October, of course. And I was just thinking the other day, I was like, I had one or two, I think 2 sessions this fall. That is crazy. Why did I only do two? And then I was like, oh wait, I literally orchestrated it this way because
Not
I
showing
don't
anything.
enjoy them that much anymore.
Yeah, but it's the power of what you show. Like it does, like the advice that you were given at the start, show what you want to shoot. It does still ring true. Like the more you show off things, the more people book you for that thing. So that we were talking just before you came off the call on the call about how it's so important, for example, for things like night shots or morning shots or whatever, like it needs to be relative to the amount of the day that those shots are going to take up. Like if you're showing off loads of party, people are going to assume that that's what the whole gallery is going to look like, and it's not realistic. So you're almost failing before you've even begun. It needs to be more varied and comprehensive, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think it's really good for an Instagram strategy when you're actually posting to look through. I kind of have a little bit of a formula, which I can go through actually, which will help this make more sense, but when I actually post, some like practical things that I do is first, the photos that I am going to post are the highlight section of the wedding gallery. So personally, when I deliver a gallery, the first thing they see when they open the gallery, it says highlights, and it's all my favorite photos are right there. I think this is really great because you don't, depending on the wedding day, you can't always get those really good establishing shots of the venue, which I think, if you start off with getting ready or venue shots or
Yeah,
start,
that's so important. Yeah.
yeah, however you start your gallery, sometimes it just looks lacking, especially if the getting ready area isn't like as magical as like you might envision those photos should be. So I think it's really nice to start off your gallery with a highlight section. This is usually my preview photos because when I deliver previews, I do take my time to make sure that those are my favorite photos because I know when I post on Instagram, if I can't wait until the full gallery is done, which most of the time we can't, we want to share the previews. I'm going to make sure those are the best photos. So it usually correlates that most of my preview photos end up being in the highlight section. Those are the photos that go onto my phone that I know are going to be posted.
That's
So
so
that's
clever because the
step one.
supplier, like if you've got a gallery of 1,000 images, they're not traipsing through it. So if they've got a selection of like 100, those are the ones that the suppliers are going to reshare, the couple's going to reshare. It's such a clever way of doing it because we all hate it when they post like a hero shot that's really boring and then they ask us as collaborate. So that's such a good way of doing it. I might have to steal that.
Yeah, I highly recommend. It's also been helpful for me because when I go back and I'm like, oh, I kind of want to share that wedding that was in Greece that one time. If you just go back and it just starts at getting ready, you're like, this is actually going to take an hour for me to go through and choose because I probably have new favorites now that it's a year from now. But I don't even remember which ones were my favorites when it was like a year ago. So it is nice to just have those photos right there to quickly grab your favorites from. So that's step one for like my whole what I post on Instagram strategy. Step two, I have an app called Preview. There's so many where you can plan your feed. And so I literally just click the plus button and I go through and what I see, I'm just clicking the ones that stand out to me, ones that I know I might want as the first photo. So the next step is just choosing what is that first photo that's gonna grab people's attention, or maybe I'm specifically looking for a more minimalist black and white photo. Sometimes I am looking for something specific, but I am first and foremost just pulling a handful that I think could be potential first photos and then finding where that's going to fit on the feed. So when is kind of my step three is when am I going to share this? So if this is the first photo, where is it going to fit? If I have to share it 2 weeks from now, so be it. Like the feed has to look good. So, and I try not to think about that one too much. Like honestly, my feed could maybe be planned a little
Your
better.
feed is mad. Come
I'm
on.
sure we all
Your
feel
feed.
that about our own feed.
No, no, it's so good.
So just figuring out the when, where it's going to go. And then when it comes to a carousel, I am truly trying to mix up the day. But the first thing, what is first in my mind is what does a planner want to see? They want to see details. So I am sharing all the details if there are really good table settings. And of course, these are still all my pulled from my favorite photos from the highlights. So I'm not worried about not liking any of these photos. I'm just randomly going through and making sure that it's a mix of different parts of the day. And sometimes I'll cut out a part of the day. I'm not super strict on this. If the ceremony was kind of lacking, in my opinion, I will not share any ceremony
Yeah, but
photos.
you get to do that, don't you? Like it's up to
Yeah,
you.
that's the beauty of curation. And I know that I'll probably post it again anyways. So if I'm posting the same wedding again, I will look back on what I previously posted. And I'm not afraid to like reshare images. I probably do it maybe too much. I am not afraid to reshare photos, but I will make sure that I'm mixing in new photos. I shoot 40% of my gallery is film images. So usually my second post is mostly film anyways when I'm resharing the same wedding. So that's kind of like just my whole process. I
No,
don't know if
I
any of
love
that
that.
helps.
No, it does. And just before you came on the call, we did this activity, and I was trying to get people to think about why you would post one image over another. And I said sometimes both images are good, but it depends on what's lacking overall. And
Mhm.
it doesn't mean that those shots aren't going to be in the gallery. Like if you didn't love the ceremony, you're still going to shoot the shit out of it, but it won't necessarily make it onto your grid. But the couple and the planner and the suppliers, they're still going to get all of it. And I think that's it, isn't it? Where
still trying to do the best, most comprehensive gallery that we can with storytelling elements and all of that stuff. But what we curate, that's our favorite work, and that doesn't need to make sense to anyone else. It's just what we love.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've put here, like, you curate your portfolio well. Something that I think you do really, really well is you don't seem like trendy. You put your own stamp on trends. I don't know if I'm articulating this very well. Like, I see things on your page that's really out there, but it doesn't feel like a gimmick. It feels really like organic and normal. Like, how do you do that?
Yeah. Do you have an example?
Just, I think you were one of the first people that I saw to like do the flat lays, more still life. And I just think you've got a really good way of doing trends, but it still feels like a wedding and not a show. I
Mm.
really don't think I'm articulating that very well. But when I see your work, I know it's your work straight away. It's really out of the box. I feel like I feel myself looking around the image more than once. Like, you seem to have a way of drawing people in. So, what's your thought process when you're shooting? Like, how do you do it? That's a really hard question, sorry.
I know it's hard. I will say I love detail photos. I think it helps tell a story and makes a gallery like really complete and looks good. So whether it's details as in like the wedding details, but I'm also talking about just like capturing the florals that are growing outside of the venue, like just all the random things, shooting up at a
Like,
tree.
for example, earlier on it came up because we were going through people's grids, and like there were a few floral shots that were just quite basic, like quite wide, straight at the florals. You don't really do that. You shoot through things a lot. You come up with like alternative compositions. So, say you're at a wedding, you've just got there, you're shooting the ceremony space. What are your like go-to alternative compositions that you might try, which you do at most weddings because they always deliver?
Yeah, so this is really important. This is really important to me. I do find that I'm fairly creative. I like to think of myself as 15% creative in my galleries. If I were to look through one of my galleries, I'm like 15% of this is like a creative shot in my head. The rest of the photos are super formulated. Like when I shoot a ceremony or a dining room table or a flat lay or anything, I know exactly what angles I need and want. Like I know. And when I have a second shooter who has to shoot those details for me because I'm otherwise occupied, I am so specific. And I learned this over time. I used to be like, oh, second shooter can be anyone. Now I am so picky because I know exactly how I want everything shot. Once you get those shots, yeah, you can get creative. But I actually, am I able to share? Okay, I have this whole guide actually that I send my second shooters, but I'll at least, I'll try and do it a little quickly. I know this
I'm
is
so sorry.
duration.
He never wakes up normally. You've got all of this to look forward to, Sierra.
My
Right.
future. I'm
Talk.
looking into my future, right? So here's, I'll just show some of these for example. I just think it's so important to, it's one thing to be artistic and be creative and have fun with, that's what it's all about. But I think it's also important to know what looks good. There are certain things that look better when it's shot well. Unfortunately, we see this with like cranky old men on Facebook who are like, this isn't actually a good photo. And you're like, okay, but it's good because you feel it, because it's created. Like, I know it's breaking the rules, but where those old cranky Facebook men are coming from is that there is a formula to a good photo and to good composition. And so I think it is important to kind of know those things and then expand from there. Get creative
You
from
just
there.
scroll down ever so slightly just so we can see the
Yes.
text on there.
I'll go through some of these because here's like every detail, every single thing you shoot, you should always get a wide. Of course, if you can get the drone, get the drone. If there are any layers in a photo, I want to see those layers. The end of the table, I can't tell you how many times earlier in my career when my second shooter wouldn't get the end of the dining room table. When every time I talk to a florist and I say, "Hey, what is your favorite piece on this table? Like which centerpiece or which design? Like, do you have a favorite place setting or a favorite floral piece?" 80% of the time they say I put it on the end because everyone's going to see it as they're walking up. And then no one takes the photo of the florals on the end, whether it's a
I think
big,
it's when
beautiful
you
piece
when they
like
moan
this.
at you or when they ask you, this is all learned behavior, right? So a lot of these shots that I get now, it's because I've had that DM asking for a shot that's not in the gallery. So
Yeah.
these are like things that you pick up because you're like, hang on, this is what the suppliers want. And suppliers are really important because if you're getting them on side, they're going to recommend you to really cool couples half the time. Like if you've got a couple that have organize the florist first and they're flying them in from wherever, and then the florist knows that you're great and you get recommended. Like every string to your, but like it's good, isn't it, to just generate the leads from all different angles, and supplier photos is such an easy way because we're already there. So we might as well get the
Absolutely.
banging photos.
Absolutely. And no matter how you want to think of it, for the planner, for the suppliers, it's benefiting you. Like you are the photographer, and if you miss something, that's on you. And the end of the table is usually such a moment, and why would you want to miss that? Another thing though is the angle at which you take the photo, and I have serious in-depth conversations with my if I use a new second or third shooter. I always talk to them about this. So like for example, this photo on the end. This photo specifically isn't great because I hate that part of the florals are cut off. Like if this was the only photo of the end of the table, I'd be kind of sad because I want to see the full design. And then you can get close and get fun with it. But I need to see the full floral design, and I really don't love that it's cut off right here. But anyways, I would also want them to be like get on your knees and take the photo head on, not just looking down at the floral design, but like straight on. So a great example
That's
of
so
this
that's so good
is
that you've
right
mentioned
here.
angles, because I literally say at shoots all the time, I'm like, why are you still stood in the same place, but you've just moved your camera like there or there? You can crop in post. You should be physically moving your entire body. Trust that your camera's got the shot and then move so that whoever's like, whether it's you or whether you're second shooting, you've got range. Otherwise, it's just all the same angle and
Yeah.
you've just wasted your time, haven't you, shooting the same shot?
Yeah, this is one angle that nobody gets. Not a single person gets this shot unless I specifically tell them and remind them. But flowers on the dinner table are meant to be looked at while the person is sitting and looking at it straight on. So if you don't bend your knees and get that shot, you are missing the design that the florist has made. And so, of course, you want these angles looking down. You can see that here where you're looking down at it because as you're walking by the table, that's what you see. That those are still important
That's so
shots.
editorial though, that like I'm always crouching at weddings, like literally crabbing, even though I'm tiny anyway. But that straight shot is my favorite shot ever. Like to get right eye level with the table and to get it straight.
Yeah.
Like, and it's so editorial and it's so chic, and you
Yeah.
really don't see it very often.
And it's a shot that's needed. It's not like for me, it's not a creative shot. It's just like this is how you shoot a table. You need to shoot it this way. You need to get multiple plates in some photos, not just the one plate setup, but you need to see multiple plates. You need the table to fill the frame so that you're not seeing an end of the table on either side, if it's a rectangle table, of course. I think visually, this photo from the side, looking down at a plate is more visually pleasing than this photo that is
Yeah.
straight on, but planners love this photo. They love this photo where it's straight down looking at one plate. So I have to get it for the
Just do
planner.
it on f-stop as well, because I've had it so many times where second shooters have not put their f-stop high enough because they want to shoot like super dreamy. But if you've got stationary and your f-stop is too low, you'll lose, and half of the menu is blurry. Those shots are
Uh,
unusable. So you
You'll
need
see
to put
down
your
here,
f-stop.
so many photographers don't even shoot the menu. They don't even shoot to where the menu is
It's
visible.
infuriating, isn't it?
The menu needs to be readable. So whether that means upping your f-stop, but not too high. I've had it where my seconds have had their f-stop too high because I don't want the background also in perfect focus. I do still want that dreamy, creamy photo.
So what f-stop would
Um,
you shoot? Like say that table shot medium, what's your go-to for that versus the close-up of the menu?
yeah, more of a medium. I'm thinking like a four,
Yeah, because
four.
I do like 3.5. I didn't want to put a number
Yeah.
in your brain, but I think 3.5 is
3.5 to
fine.
4. But of course, it's a range, like depends on the lighting and everything. But yeah, 3, 4 in that range. I wouldn't go too much lower than that, but I wouldn't go higher either unless it was super on purpose and I wanted the venue in the
A
background.
lot
Like,
of like male photographers, not being horrible about male photographers, but they just seem to want to shoot everything in f9 and above at the moment. And like that seems to be a trend where everything needs to be. I don't even know why I said male because I'm sure some females do it as well. But this trend of like everything being in like f9 and above, I just don't understand it. I feel like it's gonna change very quickly. But yeah,
Yeah, I also think it's just
so
a
high.
balance in general because if you're at 2.0 all day, you're also missing a lot of opportunities to show off the landscape and like the actual venue and the actual space. So it is a balance of mixing it. And honestly, don't be afraid to make these mistakes and just change it up and see what you like because what I like might not be what you like in the end. So don't be afraid to experiment with it if you have the time, get multiple f-stops and figure out for yourself. Like look at things side by side. Oh, I like it like this
Yeah, I
actually.
think that's it. It's just range. Like, make sure that you've got lots of options.
Yeah.
If you're second shooting and you take the second shot 5 times, you're wasting the first shooter's time. Like, they don't need to see 5 of the same shot because you've just gone, just in case one isn't in focus. Just keep moving your camera, keep moving your body, give options and check in. And also, like, look at the images, zoom in, make sure that it's like nice and consistent without being too noisy because you've put the f-stop up too high.
Yeah. And then just missing details on the table. So like the actual name cards need to be shot so that it's a photo of the name card, not a photo that has the name card in it, but like focus on the name card or focus on the lamps. Like all of these details were picked so specifically by the couple and the planner. And maybe there's a designer involved sometimes. Like everything is picked out meticulously. So don't be afraid to get those details on their own. They're important. I mean, just a name card isn't a big deal. So you might think, oh, but it's in the photo with the other things. No, they spent hundreds of dollars and picked this design specifically. It probably matches their invitation suite. Like, this is a very intentional. If you've had your own wedding, you know, you're like, damn it, I spent so much money on that one thing and there's
Yeah, and
no
the
photo of it.
only tangible, like I've got a weird, like I came into weddings via calligraphy, so I know how frustrating it is to have spent hours and hours and hours curating something or creating something, and then getting a gallery back, and there's one photo of a sign that took me 2 weeks, and it's heartbreaking for the suppliers. And I don't care how nice that photographer is, I hate them because they've not respected my work. And you don't want to be making any suppliers feel like that or the couple because they've got no evidence of the photo.
Yeah. And I could talk about ceremony and like I could go on and on. This is the last one I'll look at because this is another really important one that I think a lot of my seconds were missing until I told them. But a lot of people will go for this corner shot of the bar, but they won't get the full bar. And I know that the full bar isn't always this cute, this visually pleasing. And so people will skip it because they don't think it's important, but it is. Even if you don't think it's a good photo, I still need it. I need that photo straight on of the full bar with all the flowers in frame, and then go up and get the medium, get the corner, and then get really close. I want to see the textures in the florals. I want to see the signs where they're readable. And like the corner shot is great. It is beautiful. That's probably the one I'll share. But we need all of it. The planner needs all of it. The couple needs all of it. My gallery needs all of it. So that's just another one. And yeah, ceremony again, getting down on your knees and like maybe I kind of shot through the flowers a little bit that were on the other side of the aisle, but like a lot of people just only shoot down at the flowers in a ceremony, which is fine. It looks great, but I just want variety. Honestly, that's all I want for my seconds is a huge variety. And if you don't think it looks good, that's fine. If I don't think it looks good, I won't cull it. And if I do, I will cull it.
But the variety is just the key because the best seconds that I have, they move and they give me options. But if they're just shooting the same thing and I've got to sieve through 5 shots of the same shit shot, I'm like, this is really frustrating. I need to see more range.
Yeah. And with the ceremony, like getting the super wide, like this example is on a drone. So of course it's super wide. But I find that a lot of people will just get this medium wide. I call this a medium where you just see a few chairs and you're getting the center. And I call this a wide where you're seeing almost all the chairs. But I want to see even farther back where you see every single chair from end to end, the whole view, the background. Like I want to see it all. So a lot of people will get this wide, but not a super wide. So that's another one that people miss. But anyways, I know this doesn't have a ton to do with curation, but I think the more
No,
variety you
it,
have,
it does though, because you're able to curate a more comprehensive portfolio because these shots are in your grid and what are in your galleries. And what a lot of the photographers within the course are realizing is that they shoot quite safely. They get the same set shots at most weddings that they go to. It's like a checklist. And once
Mhm.
they've got it, they've got it. Whereas what we're saying is no, you're hungry for it. You keep shooting, you get on the floor, you shoot through this, you give yourself. It's like when I do details, I will move the details to like 5 to 10 different locations around the room so that when I come to edit the final gallery, I've got choice. I know what's cohesive with the rest of the gallery, I know what works.
Mhm.
Range is really, really important.
Yeah. And it's 90% a formula for me. It is like, okay, I've shot the ceremony, I've gotten these angles that I know I want, and sometimes that's it. Sometimes then I'm walking away. But when I have those 2 extra minutes at the end, I'm looking around and okay, is there a tree back there that I can get some like foliage in the corner of the shot and get a medium or a medium wide, or then I can kind of get these creative shots, but sometimes you're limited on time, and I have this formula. I know it's going to be a good photo, whether it's quote unquote creative or not. And sometimes that's all you need
Yeah. No, I love
is
it.
a good shot. But okay,
No, I love it. That's so helpful. And I think just having like tangible examples that people can see. When you were showing the ceremony space, for example, there was 8 shots there that are all completely different. So when people say, I've shot the ceremony, but they've just done a wide and a medium wide, I'm like, but where's the like
now all the florals, I
but I
need
only shoot like three to
close-ups,
four.
I need to see the texture of the florals, I need to
No,
see everything.
exactly. But you need to trust that you've got the shot, but then try something else. I only shoot like 3 to 4 thousand images. I don't overshoot on a wedding day, but the range within the RAWs is insane, especially when you're second shooting and it's not your wedding, because you know what you like, but you don't know what the main photographer likes.
Yeah.
That's so good. Okay, I'm gonna try and go a little bit quicker because I know that I'm gonna want to chat to you and I don't want to take over too much. Some of these we've kind of answered already. So I've put here, how important are carousels versus static images, and can you share some advice on what you do to make them pop?
Yeah, I mean, if you have to choose, a carousel is going to do better every time. In my experience, I honestly only share a static photo when I'm really lazy and I just want to share the picture. Sometimes it also gives the main feed like a minimal look because it just doesn't have that little like double white square in the corner, which is so dumb. Like we overthink these things, right? But it's honestly just like a lazy tactic for me where I'm like, okay, I need to be consistent in how often I post. And so I don't want to go too long because I know it affects the algorithm. I just know some of these things. So if I just need to get a post out there because I am so meticulous on carousels and which photos and blah, 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 sometimes it's just too much. So I will just do a static post. But that is honestly for me the only is it different for you, Faye?
No, no, I agree. I agree with you. There's two parts of this. Carousels obviously always do better, but the best thing is just the thing that you can do sustainably. So if you can't post carousels once a week and you do need to post, it's better to post a banging shot. You know,
Mhm.
like if you shoot Vanessa Hudgens' wedding and you post like a single shot, I don't really think it matters that it's a single shot. It's going to go off. And if your work's good enough, it'll perform no matter what, whether it's
That's
a
a good
single shot or it's a
reminder. I should
carousel.
actually share something.
Yeah, you should share more from that wedding. But I genuinely think if your work's good, it's going to hit. And we were talking about this before you came on the call. Analytics can be quite cruel and disheartening. If you see that only 50 people have liked a post, you can feel like it's flopped. But all it takes is one person to book you for their wedding and it wasn't a flop. And you don't know what's going to make that. It might be the 8th post that they've seen of yours and they were between you and another photographer, but you post some shadows on some hands and they're like, oh, I love that shot. I want that shot in my gallery. And they book you. The fact that you're showing up, that's what's important. So carousels are better, but it's better to be consistent, I think.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
What do you
No,
think?
I think we're on the same page. I just get lazy, and yeah, I know I want to post somewhat
Life comes first,
consistently.
man.
So
Life comes first. Right, so we are about to do the third module. So we've done finding your why, we've just done curation, and now we're going to go on to conversion. Can you talk to us a little bit more about client journey? So if you had to simplify it into 3 stages, what would you prioritize?
yeah, I think the first thing would be establishing trust. And there's so many things we can do with that. I mean, that's your BI, that's your portfolio, that's curating. Like there's so much, but I think overall, are you establishing trust? I mean, we only have a few seconds when we go to someone's profile, whether they're a fellow photographer. We're there for like less than 5 seconds before we decide if is this person inspiring? Do we like their work? Do we want to follow them? we're done. We're out. We're out of there. We're back to the feed.
I
We're
love
keep
that.
scrolling. So one, of course, having good photos, but are you establishing some kind of trust? Are you a scammer? Are you, I mean, we just overthink things, and so visually having a great feed is amazing. But I will read someone's bio and like not even know their name, and I'm just gone. Like I don't even know your name,
Yeah.
and you're a business owner where you are the center of your business. So it comes down to all these little things. So everything you can do to establish trust. And that also means like being consistent. If you're posting like tons of different styles and this and that, and you're all over the place, no one's going to trust you because they don't know
They
what
don't know what they're gonna.
what are their photos going to look like. They don't know. It could be like these guys who had a wedding in Greece. It could be like then the next day your photos are a little moody, whereas this wedding, it looks more bright and colorful, like just establish trust. And there's many ways to do that.
No,
So
I
I
love
think that's,
that. The consistency thing is so important, and we've been talking a lot about like edit and like we spoke about it briefly earlier, but we don't need to be showing people couples photos. There should be enough trust because our work is that strong. They know that we can take a nice photo of a couple walking up and down, but showing off like all these other things, the details, the different parts of the day, and showing off that you've got like real wedding experience. So some of the things that have come up over the past few weeks is like not showing the same couples within a grid of 18 because that sort of subtly communicates that you're less experienced, or maybe you've got three different edits within a few scrolls. That's also really bad. So this is all feeding into what you said. So they find you, that obviously obsessed with your work because it's great. What's the next step of the client journey? How do you make it easy for people to get to know you? All of that jazz.
yeah, I think I'd call it just like the conversion is the next step. So how do you convert these people who now trusted you? How do you make them fill out your contact form? Well, you make it easy for them. Is it hard to find the contact form on your website? Are there 30 questions to fill out the contact form? So, and that's just one step in converting. It's like, okay, we have to get them to fill out the contact form. Is it easy, but you're still getting the information you need? And then once they message you, is it easy for them to book a call with you, or is it a ton of back and forth? Oh, I'm free this day at this time. What about you? No, they work Monday through Friday. They can't do that. The time zones are different. They're from the US. Like, is it easy? How do we convert people easily? So as soon as I send my inquiry response email, they have pricing information, they have nice messages for me. They have click here to book a call. My schedule is there. I once a month look at it, maybe a little more, sometimes a little less, but I'll update my availability and change it depending on the season. Or if I'm in the US for a month, I'm going to change it to match my time zone there. So I have to keep up with that, but it makes the conversion a lot simpler. And then, of course, the client call
Yeah.
also has to do with conversion. So being really specific on how you run your call and are you just talking at your couples, or are you giving them the chance to tell you what they're excited about? Honestly, I let my couples run the whole call. I assume once they're on the call with me, they're serious, but they're excited. They're getting married. They want to tell me what they're excited about, why they chose me. They want to tell me photos that they've envisioned since they were younger and things that they want and what they're looking for. So and a lot of times my couples don't even have questions. They just want to make sure
That
that
you're a real person.
I'm not a scam and that my demeanor is like
But I remember you
showing
talking
up.
about this when we met, like you were saying you were just going through the wedding process as a bride and you were getting really frustrated and quite disheartened because you were ringing these people on calls trying to find suppliers and they were just giving you this. There was no open questions, there was no intrigue.
So much by getting married and talking to other photographers on a call. I couldn't wait to tell people about my vision and like because I'm a photographer, I was like, oh, they're gonna be so excited when they find out like the cool things I'm gonna do. And I was just excited to talk about my wedding and no one would ask me. They just start saying, I do this, I do this. It's important to me to get a nice photo of every single one of your guests. And I was like, I don't fucking care. I don't care about good photos of my guests. I'm not gonna lie. I want photos of the atmosphere and me with the guests, and I want photos
You
of the
take it
guests.
for granted. You're like, they're obviously going to get nice photos of the guests, but these are the things that I'm really excited about. But if you didn't
Yeah,
get a chance to say that, it's a missed opportunity, isn't it, to convert?
yeah. So, I mean, and we all have those. Like, I have things in my business that I'm really proud of, and I am excited to share them with couples on like, I do this, this makes me better. But and now I know I would never just come out and say those things. This couple's already here about to give me their money. They've made it this far. They're on the call with me. let me ask them what's important to them. What do they want out of this experience? And then I can validate I am the person for you. Like once they're done talking, I can say, that's great. I think what you've seen in my work and what's brought you here, I'm so glad that it's aligned because I also do that. And beyond that, like sometimes I can take a step further and be like, yeah, and I actually do this. And your gallery, yeah, of course you'll get an online gallery and you can access those photos anytime. It never expires. And like, I can go off of what they say and add a little bit to it, but letting them lead the call,
Yeah.
they're like, I've just learned so much.
It's so important because just asking open-ended questions and just not taking it for granted that you know what they want, because you don't know them. It's so, so important. And then I guess you just say give them the best customer service ever, right? So that they give you
Yeah, just
special
follow
proof
through.
and
Follow through. You've made so many promises, you've established that trust. Now you have to give them everything you've just promised them. And you can always go beyond that, but I know at least 6 or 7 years ago, people used to always say, or educators used to say, what was it?
baby brain.
I know. Like over deliver and
Yeah,
under
under promise and over deliver.
but I don't really believe in that. I think over promise and over deliver.
Yeah, I
Like don't
agree.
over promise, but promise and then deliver.
Yeah,
Because if if you say you're gonna deliver the gallery in 4 months, but you're gonna deliver it in three because you're so good, you're gonna over deliver. But they do a call with another photographer who says they're delivering their gallery in 3 months. You've just lost. Like
I agree.
promise and then deliver. You don't have to promise and then over deliver. Just promise and then super deliver. Don't miss out on any opportunities to sell yourself.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with like we're so aligned, Sarah. It's brilliant. Especially because you're just saying a lot of the stuff that we've already been talking about the first hour of the call. So every time you speak, I'm
I'm
like,
sorry I'm like talking at you
yeah,
guys on
this
things
is
you might
so
have already
no, no,
gone.
no, it's brilliant. It's brilliant because I feel like it just demonstrates that it's really not rocket science. You just work hard for your couples, you show off who you are, you show off work that you love, and we overcomplicate it with all these different steps, but ultimately we're artists and it's just about the work. So we're running out of time. I've not covered all of the questions that I sent you. Is there anything that we haven't spoken about yet that you'd like to speak to them about before I open up the Q&A?
I think it's just really important to remember that when you curate, you're showing off what your taste is. And so sometimes I have a hard time thinking about when people pay someone else to post on Instagram for them, but they don't give them enough guidance and they just kind of give them free reign and they're picking their favorite photos to share from your gallery. I think showcasing what your taste is so important because when you cull a gallery, even you are choosing the photos you like. You're not asking your couple what they like. Your taste is everything. And so trust your taste is like something that I would say is should be a huge takeaway from the whole topic of curation is to trust what you like. You could be quote unquote wrong when it comes to what's a good photo and what's a bad photo. It doesn't matter. If you like it, you're sharing it. Your clients are going to like it. They want what you like because you're sharing what you like. They're going to book you. So trust your taste, but refine your taste because if you're going to be an expert, you need to teach yourself what is good within your niche. And so there is that fine line of trust your taste, just share what you like, but yeah, be smart about it and keep educating yourself on the topic. I mean, when you think of an interior designer, they're going to have certain taste and things that they like, and people are going to hire them because of their niche and like what they design, but they still know in the industry what looks good. They know that warm lights need to go here and cool lights need to like I don't know anything about interior design, but
No,
they
I love
know
it
the rules. Like they are educating themselves not only on the rules but on the trends. And as things change, they're staying educated
and
to
relevant.
stay an expert. And we need to do the same. We can refine our taste while still trusting our taste.
Yeah, I love that so much. Like, you're just incredible. You really. Do you guys want to unmute that? Like, how insane was that? Isn't she just the best ever? Bless them. They've been listening now to like
I
talk.
know I love a conversation, so it's kind of weird. I'm like, I just want to chat with
I
everyone. So
know. Let me unpin us and then we'll be able to see everybody the same. But yeah, I thought that was incredible. I feel like the thing that you do the best your work's incredible, and that's obviously what gets people to scroll. But I feel like you're just such a nice person, and you're so educated, and you're so good at what you do. But you come across as so personable, and people know that it's going to be really fun to work with you. And I think it comes across in your captions, in your stories. Like, you're quite silly, and you post quite silly stories. And I think I was talking a little bit about how I share techno. Like, it doesn't need to make sense to anyone else, but the people that really love you for who you are, they're your couples, aren't they? So yeah,
Yeah.
I just
It's
think
funny
you,
because I find myself to be like boring online because I'm so chill that I'm like, I don't need to dance and like be silly, but like I guess I sometimes have like a witty side to me, but I'm also just like so chill that I'm like, let me just post this. So and so's wedding. Like people say don't do that, but I'm just like lazy in a sense.
I don't think it's lazy. I think it's intuitive. I think you don't overthink it. You're the same as me. You just
Yeah.
post stuff that
And
makes
once you have a process, you can be lazy. Like I feel
you,
like I've done the hard work so that I can be lazy now.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Right. Please ask Sierra questions.
Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, there is loads more highlights from some incredible industry leading suppliers like the Fior Collective, Mia Sylvia. Honestly, there's so many. Just head over to Feywild Photography on YouTube and you'll be able to explore, as well as lots of other videos about lots of other topics that I think might help you wherever you're at in your photography journey. Thank you so much.